So you're probably thinking to yourself, why are you talking about a phone, Dobo? You don't do phones, you talk about drones. And that's sort of true, but actually, I used to do a lot of phone tech. If you go way back on my channel and look at some of my earlier videos, that's how I started my channel. 10 years I've been doing YouTube, and I started talking about phones. It was one of my biggest passions, and it also caused me to go incredibly broke. Like, no, seriously, I used to just sign up with contracts on Verizon and just terminate them just for the phone. It was a terrible, dark time. But today we're talking about the Pixel 5 after the hype, 2 months later, exactly 2 months later. Today it's the 15th with this device. What do I think of it? Will I continue to use it? Let's get into it. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching OriginaldoBo, and in today's video, we talk about the Pixel 5 after the hype. Now, to be fair, I am part of Team Pixel, so they did go ahead and send this device out to me to take a look at, and I've had it for 2 months. Now, there was never any obligation to make a video, which is always cool, just to have a phone sent to you and not have to worry about making a video. That's cool because nobody's bothered me to do so, but I'm taking it upon myself. It has nothing to do with the fact that I was in a Google commercial recently. Nothing to do with that. Link in the description below. No, but seriously, I'm mostly an iPhone guy, and the Pixel 5 is the closest to an Android iPhone that you're going to find. Can I even say that? I think I can say that. I'm probably gonna piss a lot of people off saying that. So 2 months time I've had this phone, and I gotta say I'm really impressed with it overall. The performance never stops to impress me. It never stops impressing me. Firstly, I guess let's talk about the design. So the design is pretty plain. It's different than what you would expect from Google or Pixels, or even, you know, what we used to see on the Nexus lineup. It's sort of plain Jane. It's a slab of aluminum with a fingerprint sensor on the back. Pretty typical, right? But it performs really well, and it feels a lot more premium than the Pixel 4a. The Pixel 4a was plastic, almost a similar design. This is a 6-inch display, but I gotta say, it looks good. It's an AMOLED display. It's 1080p. And the colors look relatively natural. Now, I do have mine set to the natural color mode. You can choose 3 different options: natural, boosted, and adaptive. I prefer the natural look just because it sort of makes things a little bit more realistic. Otherwise, AMOLED gets really saturated looking. Now, I'm happy to report after 2 months of use, I don't notice any screen burn. One of my biggest fears of using AMOLED displays is screen burn-in, and there's none to be present here on this device after 60 days of continuous use. Now, as far as performance goes, a lot of times on Android devices, I notice there's a bit of performance degradation as time wears on. I really haven't noticed that at all. Now, I use this as my work phone, so I'm always using it. I'm making phone calls, I'm browsing, I'm texting, I'm looking for whatever it is online, using this as sort of a daily driver, YouTube, whatever, doesn't matter. And it doesn't slow down. It never slows down. Another thing people had complained about was the fact that there isn't a higher refresh display on the Pixel 5. And honestly, I don't see that as a bad thing because I don't even notice it. It's just so absolutely smooth. Now, the specs on this device are honestly no slouch. It has a Snapdragon 765G, and while it's not the latest processor, it is very well optimized for the software at play here. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that you have to realize is Google did a fantastic job of optimizing hardware to software to make a really cohesive working environment. It has 8 gigs of RAM. This particular version has 128 gigs of storage. And honestly, I found that 128 gigs is sort of my sweet spot with storage. Now, it has the Adreno 620 GPU, and this thing just runs along, chugs along like butter. Now, the Starlight feature here is honestly the battery life. And I know we talk so much about the Pixel cameras in many videos, but the battery is really amazing. It has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. And for the first couple of days using this, when I first got it, I thought something was wrong with my device because it did not budge off of 100%. That's incredible, right? Now, if I go into my settings and just bring up the battery here, just to give you sort of an understanding on how I'm using this, it's almost unbelievable if you didn't know any better. So let's go into battery. I have 69% left. It's telling me that that's more than 2 days available of battery life. if I just tap onto, let's see, let's look at my, where can I look at my, oh, here it is. So screen on time has been 1 hour and 29 minutes. And my full charge lasts me typically, because again, I use this for work, just talking, texting, and browsing, can last me about 8 days, 21 hours. That's what it's averaging. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna make it 8 days, but often I literally forget to charge this because I am just making phone calls on it. But this is the first Android device that honestly, I can truly say the standby time is fucking crazy. It is crazy. It's better than my iPhone with standby time, which is really, it's saying something. Google has some sort of freaking witchcraft going on here with the battery on this phone. Now, I've had so many different Android devices in my time, and they've all really just made me nervous, and I always felt like they were unreliable. But the Pixel 5 doesn't ever leave me really hanging or worrying that the battery life is gonna be bad. It's actually really quite good. Now, moving away from the battery life, let's talk about call quality on this phone, because I think that's a big one and something that a lot of us often forget to talk about because we're just so focused on the camera and the screen and yada, yada, yada. How is it as a freaking phone? As a phone, it's pretty decent. The calls come in pretty clear thanks to the HD call quality. However, because there isn't actually a physical dedicated cutout for a speaker for your ear, it sort of sounds a little muffled at times, and I guess I'm just not used to that, not actually having a cutout for the speaker. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? No, it's not terrible. It's just not the best fit solution. But when you're trying to make a screen where it's, you know, somewhat bezel-less and no notch, that's really the only solution. Now, there is a cutout on the front of the screen for the front-facing camera, but that's really it. Beyond that, it's a pretty flush, svelte little display. Now, I do have a screen protector on here, and the screen protectors work pretty well because it's really not too curved. Unless you get down towards the edges, that's when you really notice that curve. For me, this really has a lot of similarities to the iPhone 6 body, but obviously we don't have to worry about the bending issues that we dealt with that phone. Now, the camera has not let me down either. It's just as good as all the other Pixels I've tested, the Pixel 4a, the Pixel 4. It really works well. The night mode is amazing. I do find myself gravitating towards this camera when I need to take a photo, simply because each and every time I take a shot, whether I'm ready for the shot or not, it always comes out looking great. It comes out sharp. The colors are accurate, not too oversaturated and not too over sharpened. It's just like that perfect balance on a device. So for me, that works really well. I think all in all, I am pretty impressed with this device. I don't notice any slowdowns. I don't notice any stutters. Battery's good. It's simplistic. There's no gimmicky features. And to me, that's important. I don't want a phone with gimmicky features. But one feature that I did not expect to see on this device was the fact that I can set this down on a wireless charger and it charges wirelessly. The back of this is aluminum. How they're doing this, I have no idea. I'm not cutting this phone out open to find out, but that's pretty damn cool. The fact that it does offer wireless charging on an all aluminum device is pretty amazing. So if you ask me, this to me is a big win. And like I said, I'm gonna continue using it for work because I don't have to worry about charging it. Everything just works straight out of the gate. There's no problems, there's no issues. I don't notice any defects. There's no crazy wonky things happening. I've never even noticed an app crashing on this device. Actually, that's wrong. The Autel app did crash on me, but beyond that, I haven't noticed any problems. Now, they did send me over some accessories to use with this device, which I thought was pretty cool. So they did send me this Pixel case and they did send me some Pixel buds. So this does help wean you off an iPhone. I feel like this is the iPhone, like the weaner kit. It's the weaner kit. I don't know. It's to wean you off of iOS devices because you got some Pixel buds and a relatively cool case. Now this is a fabric case. And again, I've had this for 2 months and it doesn't look filthy. Now granted, I don't grab this with nasty hands, but you know, you still are gonna get it pretty dirty. But yeah, it does make it feel a little bit wider, but all in all, I really like this case. It's unique. And I really do like the Pixel buds. They sound great. I do wish the battery life was a little bit longer on them, but that's a story for another day. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with my Google experience so far. And for me, I sort of have to have an Android device and an iOS device, especially when you're testing drones and testing certain products that rely on a cohesive sort of ecosystem between two separate operating systems. That made absolutely no fucking sense. I gotta really think before I talk sometimes. Anyways, if you're thinking about picking up this device, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can do so. I don't think you'll be disappointed. That's for damn sure. That's gonna do it for this video. As always, stay original. When you're ready, Elsa.